Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar where the topic is New Adaptive Microsoft PPM with Microsoft Project, Azure DevOps, and Jira using Power Apps. My name is Doug Wellsby, and I'm the Channel Manager here at Microsoft. I'm also joined by my colleague Jim Patterson, our Director of Sales. During today's webinar, attendees will be on mute and the line will not be open for questions. However, feel free to use the GoToWebinar question feature to submit questions. I'll address these during the webinar and will respond via email if we do not get to your specific question. If for some reason you get distracted or pulled away from the webinar, no need to worry, as I'll be emailing a link to the presentation once it has been posted to our YouTube channel. And with that, I'll now turn the presentation.
My name is Jim Patterson, as Doug would have introduced. And we're going to talk about primarily the adaptive PPM concepts and how we can automate those things and execute those in a solution based upon Microsoft Cloud technology primarily. You know, in this age of digital transformation, we need to do things different. Traditional PPM approaches need to evolve. The whole marketplace and the whole way that we do work and approach delivering digital products to the marketplace has been disrupted. And like anything else, you know, if you're not growing, you're dying. Either you disrupt or you're disrupted. That couldn't be more painfully aware in certain instances in industries, like in the travel industry, where online booking and rideshare apps and online status and notifications have really impacted the travel industry and the way we interact with airlines and hotels, and what it's done to really change and even reduce the travel agent aspect of that. You know, video rentals. We used to go get VCR tapes and video rentals at Blockbuster and such, and replaced by the model and digital alternatives of streaming and mobile device viewing and anywhere, anytime, to be able to have our full collections with us wherever we go. The same thing holds true with the music industry and the way we consume our music rather than buying records, or even in doing things in our own libraries and things like iTunes with the advent of things like Spotify, etc. And then newspapers. Looking at things in print has been supplanted by things like news feeds, social media, instant notifications and alerts, and bookstores have suffered from the same types of transitions. And even department stores, with the advent of online shopping and the public's acceptance and increased adoption of all that, with things like free and fast delivery and be able to do it from any device wherever you are things that have disrupted the marketplaces in just these industries. And these are just a fraction of what's being impacted in the marketplace. And on top of that, the speed of change continues to accelerate. Because of these market windows, the windows we have of opportunity for products and offerings and services we have shrunk. Sometimes we'd innovate something and we have like a 5-year window to go take advantage of that innovation in the marketplace. And sometimes those windows shrink to 2 years, 18 months, or even less than 12 months at sometimes, because of the speed of change and the demands of the marketplace, as well as the increased competition that's out there. And on top of that, the way organizations do work is evolving. Our work is happening everywhere. It couldn't be even exemplified even more now that we're all working remotely during this COVID-19 pandemic. And the idea here is that we need transparency and be able to ways to get visibility into the big picture of what's going on. Some trends the analysts have found is that 50% of companies will integrate their IT PMOs into overall ePMO hubs by 2021, just around the corner. And that 80% of companies are projected to have an ePMO by 2023. So once again, a trend that is looking at a more all-encompassing PMO type of concept. Also our teams are choosing their own tools. With the proliferation of cloud tools and people able to get on with a credit card or a free trial and just start using a tool of their choice, there is a proliferation of that going on. And so people want to work the way they want. Oftentimes the tools provided by the organization at the core maybe aren't designed specifically for the method or the type of work that's being done. And analysts say today that 73% of companies are using agile methods for managing projects, at least somewhere within the organization. But also, to counter that, 69% or almost a like percentage of companies are still using the predictive, more traditional waterfall types of project management as well. So people are working the way they want in both structured and unstructured work. And our teams want simple and visual tools these days. And even though as our tools get more advanced and more complex on the back end, it doesn't mean that we don't want simplicity from a user experience. So we want people in this app culture, they're used to phone apps where you get up and you install something and you start using it productively almost out of the chute. And that is kind of the mindset of the younger workforce, including the millennials. And the projections are that 50% of the workforce will be comprised by the millennials by sometime here in 2020, and that'll go up to 75% by 2025. Meaning, if that's our audience, we have to address their needs, their desires, and the way that they're going to do work. And then our key processes are spanning the enterprise on a cross-functional basis. We need to be able to adapt and automate tools that can take us end to end through a process and involve people on a cross-functional basis across an entire organization, or even outside with our external partners and vendors and customers. 79% of companies will need cross-functional collaboration in today's environment. And 65% of large organizations will enable non-IT staff to perform integrations by 2023. And that's being, let's just say, enabled by technology and the ability of productized connectors to do things that business users can accomplish without having to have a developer to write code. The inevitable impact is this all means new challenges across the enterprise, whether it's the digital transformation, whether it's the evolution of the way we do work and the dynamics of organizations and culture. You know, the speed at which we innovate, the higher expectations of consumers, they're more educated because of the internet, the demand for simplicity, even though the things that we're doing are more complex on the back end, even involving AI, the rise of competition and the speed of that, the time to value, and just having to have the ability as an organization to quickly adapt to change. It impacts all parts of the organization, whether it be the executives that have to make decisions on direction and business models and where to take the organization overall, to the PMOs that now have to manage a much more wider variety of projects, even as we get into an EPMO type, even before we get into an EPMO model. And the software development happens because even as brick and mortar companies, the technology is what's driving these things, and our software development is really what has to keep pace in order for us to be relevant in the marketplace. And then we have to support the things that we're delivering. So the idea there is that it impacts a lot of the organization. And then we talked about using the tools that you want. And in a common landscape, this is just meant to be an example, the proliferation of tools across an organization. You know, if you look down the left-hand side across the different functional areas that an organization might be embarked upon, and then across the top, looking at the departments or units in an organization that are leveraging these tools, you know, the different tools that might be being used for demand management, you know, Outlook or Jira or SharePoint, portfolio management might be using Excel or Jira or Project Online, and maybe just doing reporting in Power BI, a plethora of project management execution tools that are out there. Timesheets, sometimes being done in things like Excel, sometimes in a financial system, sometimes in things like Microsoft Project Online. And then reporting and analysis is being done by a variety of different ways. In a large case to this day, still manual generation of reports and data crunching that has to happen each reporting cycle, which is a lot of time and effort being spent by organizations. So this is a common challenge, is this proliferation of tools. How do we get a common picture when we have such siloed and disconnected sources of data? And analysts like Gartner, here from the publication from PMI, Capturing the Value of Project Management Through Organizational Agility, it stated in there that smart organizations realize that using agile techniques such as Scrum or DevOps is not the only or even the best indicator of an organization's speed or flexibility. That most organizations, and we find this to be true today, is that most organizations or most agile organizations are more likely to use several different project management approaches, you know, including the agile and iterative approaches, more lean approaches, more waterfall approaches, extreme programming, or some hybrids of those types of things are being found in different pockets of the organization, and that may be just fine given the nature and the types of work that are being done. So where are you in the Agile PPM spectrum? This is something we have to ask ourselves when we want to figure out where we're at and where we'd like to go and what kind of roadmap we'd like to take to get there. You know, on the far right, we look at traditional PPM, which is more the traditional, you know, governance, portfolio management, PMO, waterfall PPM type of approach that we've done historically over, you know, recent decades. You know, the create, you know, select, prioritize, plan, manage, and close type of approach. and working with those. And a lot of folks have projects that still are conducive to that. But we also have the far left, where people are doing agile transformations, and they may have goals or aspirations to get to a full agile transformation for their organization, and maybe implement some types of enterprise scaled agile approaches like SAFe. And in those approaches, it requires a journey that isn't a short journey to make the transition both culturally, on a skill set basis, and a process basis within an entire organization to make that happen across the board. So in between, we have Adaptive PPM, which we're going to be here to talk about today. And that may include a combination of Agile, Waterfall, and other methodologies or hybrids that you might have within that. And you may be there because the reality is that you find that there is going to be a mix of projects and approaches, for the foreseeable or even for the future as a whole. And you might just be there because that's the way you do a blend of things, and you need to have a holistic view of everything that's being worked on. Other folks, this might be a transitionary stage of years in between, as they're trying maybe to get from the right to the far left for a full agile transformation. Either way, the adaptive PPM stage is either long-term or mid-term for an organization to deal with. So if you're facilitating enterprise agile transformations and you're looking to go from traditional PPM, we're going to show you some things today using OnePlan that allows OnePlan and project to help you do full portfolio management in that mode within these technologies in the Microsoft Cloud. Now, from the adaptive perspective, we can use OnePlan to aggregate and incorporate plans from things like Project or from Azure DevOps or even non-Microsoft tools like Jira or even more simplified work management tools like Planner, and be able to have an adaptive PPM type of approach where you could have work being done in all methodologies and all different sources of planning tools, but being able to manage on an automated fashion a holistic portfolio across it all in an adaptive PPM approach. And then for the full enterprise agile capability that you might want, where you're using OnePlan and maybe only agile tools like, say, Azure DevOps or Jira or whatever the agile tool of choice might be, OnePlan can still provide the needed portfolio management capabilities across that are lacking in those team-based tools that are being provided by most of the agile system providers. So from an adaptive PPM perspective, it really is designed, adaptive PPM, and why is it different than traditional PPM? It's really been modified for today's fast-paced business environments. It's really meant to be an adaptive, responsive approach to managing an entire pipeline of work, and you're constantly measuring investments against the potential and actual returns and rapidly changing direction without disrupting the flow of organization. It's not a matter of just an annual operating plan, and that's what we're going to war with. It's really about constantly evaluating that portfolio in a more reactive and responsive way based on rapidly changing conditions. And it's an approach to decide which initiatives to invest in, how much to invest, and when to stop investing so that we're always working and spending on the right things. It looks at enterprise value management in the context of portfolio programs, like lean portfolio or lean budgeting is a way at a value stream or a portfolio level to allocate funds so that we can be more flexible down at the lower levels and be able to ensure organizations and resources are being spent in the most effective way and on the most effective things for those and the most high value things. We also want to ensure people are doing things that are of the most importance to the organization at all times, and that we're not going in a direction that isn't going to have return or value at the end of the day. And because we have different types of work, and as we'll talk about different types of portfolio, we will end up with interwoven work streams that are delivered successfully if we do this well. So an adaptive PPM solution, instead of having a single portfolio of, say, IT projects, in this adaptive PPM world, there's all kinds of potential portfolios you could be managing and have to manage these on an interwoven and interdependent basis. There are the traditional project portfolios and program portfolios that we're used to. These can be supplemented in new modern approaches with more product-oriented types of portfolios, or IT service, or even other service portfolios that are out there. And the idea is that these have their own unique needs, maybe their own constituencies and participants, but to meet the needs of the organization, they have to work in harmony and synchronization with one another. So an adaptive PPM solution would provide transparency, insights for better decisions across all of it, give you the ability to have the visibility so you can make quick adjustments to shifting business needs, to be able to balance your investments with demand to optimize the business value based upon the resources and the funding that you have, support teams that use a variety of tools and execution methods, and then an automated consolidation of information from a variety of sources without having that painstaking manual data crunching, what I call data gymnastics, that people have to do just to get a data source to provide a common portfolio, which is often static in things like PowerPoints today. And ultimately just provide a single source of truth across all of it. So we're going to demonstrate you OnePlan. We're going to demonstrate you OnePlan today in the context of pre-configured solutions that are built in the Microsoft Power Apps platform. It's going to show you things like being able to manage adaptive portfolios with contributions from project from the web, Azure DevOps, Jira, and using capabilities in the modules, more of the top-down capabilities that people look at from a portfolio level. Things like resource capacity planning and tracking, detailed financial planning at whatever level makes sense, whether it be portfolio, project, or program level, for example. And the overall portfolio visibility, bringing all project information together regardless of what the planning tools are, what the sources are, what the methodology or framework that's being used to manage those particular projects. And as we mentioned earlier, from a bottom-up perspective with the work, being able to use a variety of tools to execute on, but feeding the same portfolio. And in that regard, having status reporting being a natural output of that process as opposed to being a project in and of itself each reporting period, and be able to get that out more seamlessly and straightforwardly. So the capabilities that Doug's going to show you today in the Power Platform with OnePlan is demand management, being able to have intake on ideation and project requests and related reporting, portfolio management with both traditional and more modern techniques, with more portfolio Kanban types of things with swim lanes and different ways to prioritize and allocate things across different strategies and goals, etc. Financial management, showing you where we can budget these things at a variety of different levels and being able to have the relevant reports that come out of this as a natural output, as I suggested. Resource capacity planning, either on an individual epic or project level or initiative level, looking at that rolled up and aggregated as far as capacity versus demand across all the efforts and all the resources that we have to bring to bear against the demands of the organization. As we said, project management, whether it be things like Planner, Project for the Web, Project Online Desktop, or Azure DevOps, and we'll even incorporate Jira into the discussion today. And then collaboration and the fact that we can use Microsoft Teams, which is, seeing a great explosion in its use. All the things we're going to show you today can be collaborated on within the context of a Microsoft Teams user experience if you so desire. And then all the ancillary things you might manage around a project, things like risks, issues, change management, lessons learned, stakeholders, all those types of things can be managed within a context and be reported on very easily once we get into a common solution. Status reports and status forms on both the project and portfolio levels. Time reporting, if that's important to you. The idea here is to be able to easily feedback time and explanations of that time that was spent, whether it be through a traditional timesheet or another method. And then any of the analytics or integrations, pre-built reports that get you the information you want, but also can be tailored for the things that you want to do on any given, for any different type of organization and the forms and formats that their people are used to looking at things by. Now, even though we're going to show you this today in a context of a Power Apps user experience, be aware that the OnePlan capabilities we're going to talk to you about today can be enabled within Microsoft Teams, as I talked about. It can be actually enabled within your Project Online user experience or within Azure DevOps itself, even within SharePoint or even within Dynamics 365. So just be aware that these capabilities go across the entire Microsoft Cloud platforms, and they're powerful capabilities for you folks that are committed to any one of these cloud platforms within Microsoft. And the Power Platform, if those of you that aren't familiar with what that is, it really is a productivity platform that is a focal point for Microsoft these days. And the core components are Power BI, Power Apps, which is the low-code, no-code application development that can be done, and there's pre-configuration that can be done within there, and that Wickersoft has done is going to show you. And then Power Automate, which used to be called Microsoft Flow, that allows you to automate the business processes and make sure that you have approvals and routings and things that you want. And it's all based upon a common data service or database, such that it's easy to get data working together across your different applications, as well as easy to get it out from a reporting and analysis perspective as well. So, Power Apps is really taking hold, as well as this whole concept of low code or no code apps that can be actually built by a savvy business user. You don't need a developer to write code. You can actually have someone get trained and actually build their own applications, or you can have providers like Microsoft who have already pre-built applications within there that allow you to get started right away without having to do any of that really, and connect to any data, any solutions, and be able to do things in a way in a modern interface to help you be productive very quickly. So with that, I'll turn this over to Doug, who'll give you a demonstration of Adaptive PPM in action with all these components at play.
Great, thanks very much, Jim. So today I'll walk everyone on the line through a life cycle of project management delivery. We'll be talking about full end-to-end portfolio management using both traditional tools like Microsoft Project, or of course working in an adaptive manner with both Project and Azure DevOps or Jira if you're working traditional waterfall and or Agile. Or maybe you're working purely Agile using ADO or Jira or another tool, and how this solution can facilitate that mode of work. As we view the demonstration, please keep in mind that our solutions themselves are adaptive, meaning we can start with delivering an end-to-end solution and framework for the lifecycle of project and portfolio management, but it's easily adapted to your way of working in terms of the look and feel of the solution, the workflows, the configuration that we deploy. So let's start first with reporting and how your business leaders may access the data in your solution. As Jim mentioned earlier, we integrate fully with Power BI for dashboard solutions and for viewing the reports of the information about your plans, resources, finances, etc. And with our OnePlan solution, we provide the source code for these Power BI dashboards so that you yourselves can make changes to these dashboards to lay them out and getting them looking and feeling the way your organization reports with specific layouts and data on the different tabs the way you need to see it. So as an example, we're looking at a projects dashboard here with a series of different programs and projects that we're focused on and some high-level information about the specific top 5 project budgets, the overall forecast for spend and actuals, other data related to financials on this high-level dashboard. If I go to the project's financial health dashboard, here we have a little more detail. We're peeling back the layers a little deeper, and we're able to look at a variety of different project financial information, budget consumed to date, other information relative to the cost and the spend that we're incurring on those particular projects. If we take it up a level, here we see financial health about the programs. So less detail than the actual projects we looked at a moment ago, but at a higher level, more relevant to your business leaders who are focused on specific programs within the organization. If you want to look at resource information, of course, all of the data that we are managing is relevant to projects or work and tasks and assignments, the activities that these resources are undertaking. So our resource dashboard presents that information in an easily consumable look and feel. And then finally, of course, throughout the life cycle of any project or product that you're managing, applications that you're delivering to your organization, you may be concerned about risks or issues that you're tracking. So of course, we do have full capability to manage those, to track them, assign them to resources to address and mitigate. And of course, we can report on that using the Power BI interface for reporting. Now, if I switch to Microsoft's Power Platform and we look at a Power App, you'll notice here that we're still looking at dashboarding. So we have a fully integrated solution where those Power BI dashboards that you've built out to present your business leaders and your executives an all-up view of reporting within the solution. You can present that through Power BI, or we could integrate it directly within the Power Apps solution that we are providing to your project management office, to your development teams, to your product management teams, whomever is examining the information here. They can also view dashboards and reports directly within this interface using those exact same Power BI reports that we saw a moment ago. So no need to transition between different tools, to get lost navigating between Power BI or a Power App or where this information is coming from. We can expose this in a variety of different ways to enable you to show your resources within the organization the information that's important to them. Another way of doing dashboarding within our OnePlan Adaptive PPM solution is using our OnePlan portfolio planner views. So you'll see here that while Power BI provides comprehensive dashboarding capabilities, enabling those business leaders or executives consume the data in a variety of different fashions and mash up data from other sources easily within Power BI reports. If you're purely focused on the OnePlan reporting, here in our portfolio plan views, you'll see that we have comprehensive live reporting that doesn't require overnight refreshing like perhaps Power BI might, with self-service BI capabilities so that individuals can navigate this portfolio plan view and create their own views. So here we're looking at our portfolio of projects and plans that we're working on. You'll see information in this view grouped by the portfolio that these different plans are focused against, standardized on 3 software platforms, cloud mobile first examples. We see different information on this screen showing KPI indicators about the health of these plans. And of course, we have different ways of visualizing that within this interface. I can switch from that list view to a board view, where here we're seeing tiles presenting information about the different plans, including budget information, the business unit that they're delivering that plan or work or activities against, benefits tracking, prioritization scores, etc. All of this is configurable. You add the information that's relevant to your organization to these board views, and then you're able to save those views to show a variety of different, I'll say, pivots on that same data. So if I switch to a prioritization by goal view, you'll see here that the critical, high, moderate, or low projects are grouped here by their goals for customer satisfaction, growing the business, etc. If I switch to roadmap views, we have other ways of analyzing that data and presenting the same information. Here, traditional create, select, plan, and manage, showing a variety of different plans over a specific time period that we've surfaced in this default roadmap view. Now keep in mind that for any of these views, if I revert back to that summary view, if I don't like the look and feel of that, it's self-service BI for your business leaders. They can simply navigate this interface to add or remove columns from this view, change the grouping, filtering, or coloring within these views, and then when they have it looking the way they need it, save that view as their own personal view for their consumption and only for them, so as to not to clutter up the interface for other users that are navigating within the portfolio plan views. So once again, we have flexible reporting built right into our OnePlan portfolio analyzer and portfolio plan views. They can be mixed and matched with Power BI reporting if you're more comfortable there, or if you need to extend that solution for additional reporting that OnePlan does not perhaps provide out of the box. So let's walk through our Power Apps solution right now for end-to-end lifecycle adaptive project management. We've created what I'll call a 3 Ps solution here within this solution, or within this adaptive PPM environment. And by 3 Ps, I mean portfolios, programs, and projects. Now, if you don't use those terms, if you think in terms of applications, or if you think in terms of products, or maybe you just think in terms of programs and projects, again, this is very adaptive, so we can very easily remove one of those layers, rename them, change this interface to get it looking and feeling the way you think of delivery of the work that your organization is focused on. We've recently hosted webinars where the focus was on products or application lifecycle management. I'd encourage those of you attending today to go to our website, find those webinars, and see what we've done to, I'm going to say, pivot the focus or pivot the perspective on how you're delivering work within your organization. So a life cycle of work delivery starts with project requests. And if I navigate to this project requests interface, you'll see here that we have a variety of active requests in the interface. We've organized this such that we're exposing information about the name of the request, perhaps the priority that we've assigned to it, who requested it, etc. So a very flexible interface through which we can expose data the way you would like to see it. And if I drill down into one of those project requests, such as this social networking integration request, we see here that we've captured information on these screens to allow you the flexibility to very easily identify a new request, who the owner is, what the current state is, maybe who the executive sponsor is, or the priority that we've assigned to this at this stage in the creation of this new project request or this demand or ideation phase, no matter how you think of it. Now that prioritization will come back to the demo later on. At this point, we might simply be assigning an arbitrary value, just saying it's moderate, but we have ways within the tool for helping you to more succinctly identify what the actual priority of that plan is based on some key business drivers or other metrics that you might enter into the solution to determine stack ranked priority for these project proposals. We have some details and some value statement information here, other details on these screens that we can easily expose. Now, if we think top down instead of entry level where those projects are coming in, here in this portfolios page, you'll see that we've defined the capability and configured this so that you can identify portfolios against which your business is operating. So if I drill into, for example, this cloud and mobile first portfolio, you'll see here the cloud and mobile first portfolio is owned by Daniel Williams. He's the sponsor. It's an active portfolio that we're pursuing right now with specific goals and a priority and a business case outlined here. The key here again is we have an adaptive solution. So the layout of these screens, the information we're gathering, how we, for example, identify the financials and the portfolio budget, and perhaps the benefits for this portfolio, all adaptive, all configurable to meet the way you deliver your business. So this end-to-end solution provides information about financials, status details about this particular portfolio in a variety of different fashions. And as we drill down through the portfolios to programs, you'll see I can navigate directly in through that portfolio, find the programs that are associated with it, transition to the world-class customer support area, and you'll see that our 3P stack of portfolios, programs, and projects is now focused on the programs in this organization. So in a similar fashion to how we described portfolios, we've captured program level information about when it's going to start, what the business case is, again, who the owner is and the state of this particular portfolio, and we can drill further down into these programs and capture program level financials, benefits, other information relevant to the decision-making process around which portfolios and subsequent to that, which projects get included or excluded from the work we intend to deliver. Here we're seeing the status of this portfolio with different indicators for on track and the financial health being at risk. And finally, we can arrive at the program level within this particular portfolio, and we see a list of different projects that we're focused on, including VoIP phones, Fabricam, etc. So at this point, what I can do is open up this support customers using mobile project, and you'll see on this screen that this particular project is currently in the manage stage. But before we got through to delivery of that, we needed to further build out the business case for this particular project. So this proposal has come in. We've gathered information about who the owner is, what the potential priority for this was, which business unit it was focused on. Essentially, again, adaptive and configurable based on how you deliver your business for your organizations. We've got a comprehensive business case form here, providing areas to focus on what the description of the proposal is, what the value statement for this is. And then further down on the screen, you'll see that we've configured some methods through which you can do prioritization of your projects. So here we've answered some questions. What's the impact on our strategic alignment? What's the risk of this particular project? Is it going to contribute to lowering costs or improving employee retention? And we've been able to derive a prioritization score. If you're thinking more agile, you see the lean prioritization approach. What's the business value? What's the time criticality, et cetera? Both methods through which we can derive a score for this project to allow us to subsequently stack rank this in terms of an all-up analytics decision. Now, together with that, with these business case metrics, we might also be concerned about the resources required to deliver this. Now, at this stage, we're not yet delivering a project. We're not yet building out a project plan. But with the OnePlan resource planner, what we're able to do is we're able to describe what our anticipated resource team would look like, including named and generic resources. We have Daniel and a developer, and Amy and a project manager. And on the right, you see a heat map indicating where we have over under red, yellow, and green for the different resources as we've assigned them, not to tasks, but to commitments to this project over time. We need Daniel for 50 hours through the months of May, June, and July, and that shows that he's green, whereas Grace has a bit of an over allocation in the month of June, and she's showing yellow, and Erwin is showing red in the month of May. That's because we're able to consolidate resource commitments across an entire portfolio of plans. As you think about, do we have enough resources and enough capacity to deliver on this demand? And you'll see that in a few moments as we look at some decision-making and prioritization. Equally as important as resources are the financial outlooks for these plans. Rarely would a project or an initiative get approved without knowing what the all-up cost for this is. And of course, we roll up those resource plan estimates into labor costs within this interface. And then as part of this demonstration, again, it's adaptive, configurable to meet your needs. We have different cost categories. We're showing expense types. We're showing travel and expenses or software costs or contracts, and a very detailed financial plan on screen, not being managed with a different tool such as Excel off the side of someone's desk, but in a fully integrated fashion within the OnePlan financial planner. Now, we've built out this project request. We captured business case information, financials, and resources, and we know what this support customers using mobile plan will look like once we get into planning, but we still haven't decided that this one is going to move ahead. So if I return back to my OnePlan portfolio planner, you'll see here that we're able to also go through and use this tool to help you with analytics and decision making. I'll present a really quick walkthrough of how this solution can work today. We've had deeper dive webinars on this in the past, and once again, I'd encourage you to visit our website and see how we take you through a deep and comprehensive portfolio analysis with this tool to do what if scenarios and to examine those finances and those budgets associated with those proposed plans to determine whether or not we have enough people and enough resources to deliver on them. But as a quick walkthrough of this, I'm going to switch to a prioritization view. And when I bring up this prioritization, you'll see that those metrics that we associated in the business case submission for that particular project, for that support customers using mobile project, are visible in this screen. We see that strategic alignment question, the lower cost perspective, what's the risk of these projects, etc. And we're able to determine a prioritization score for each of those and align them one against each other in this view. If I sort this in a descending fashion, you'll see that this particular project's reached a top score. It's one of our most important projects. But as we scroll down this list, we'll see we suddenly start to hit some projects which are red, which are less important than the others. And so if I sort ascending, we'll see we have several of them that have a 0 value, others with some scores that are creeping up to be more valuable. But clearly these are projects that we might not want to be concerned about or focus on as we deliver these. And then within these views, we can overlay information such as the financial outlook and the financial costs for those projects, so that as we insert a budget target for this particular year and show that we have budget over the year of $250,000 for the first 3 months of the year, we creep up to $500,000 in budget available throughout the summer months and into the fall, you'll see our plan totals roll up, indicating that we are way over budget if we don't reduce some of those plans. So we can very easily deselect some of these within this interface, or we can do manual reordering of those projects and even include, as I mentioned earlier, resource outlooks for these plans to do resource planning as well. So once again, I'd encourage you to visit some of our other webinars for a little deeper dive on that and to see how that works within the solution, where we've showed a variety of different project and portfolio management prioritization techniques. So, assuming that one of those projects that support customers using a mobile project has been approved, let's revert back to that plan and think about delivery. So we organized our resource outlook and we know what our costs are. And when we get into task management, within our OnePlan interface, it's fully integrated so that we have full visibility into the details of this plan. And we see on screen that for support customers using mobile, we have a scope for this project. We have an analysis and software requirements design phase. And you'll also note that this particular project is what we're referring to as connected, in that it's been connected to Microsoft Project Professional. So this plan, while we have full visibility into it on screen, is being managed by a project manager using his tool of choice. And in this case, that tool of choice is Microsoft Project. So here's our support customers using mobile plan with that full scope, that analysis phase within it, and all of the other subsequent phases. And this plan is being maintained in sync and fully connected with OnePlan. So that provides us full visibility into that project plan directly here in OnePlan. It also provides us with the ability to do all-up resource capacity management, because we know within this particular initiative, the support customers using mobile project, where all those resources are assigned, how busy they are, whether or not we have sufficient capacity for future projects or not. Now, in addition to a project plan that we have for this particular project, support customers using mobile, is truly adaptive, or maybe you prefer hybrid, or you might use a term called bimodal. I've heard sometimes Agile, where it's both waterfall and agile. And if I switch this view to look at our backlog, or what you might term your Agile, or you might even brand that ADO or Jira to be very clear that this particular project's being managed within another tool, it's less waterfall, and in this case, more agile, because this particular project's being managed and the work, the features, the epics and stories, etc., are connected to Azure DevOps, and this plan is being managed in a completely separate tool. So we have some waterfall aspects to this tool, and we have some agile aspects of this tool with features and user stories and tasks coming from our Active Directory environment. Now, another way of thinking of planning within this environment is using our OnePlan scheduler. So you'll see this particular plan, if I was to expand all of these tasks and look at any of these, here I can go through and edit these tasks directly within this grid and view this entire plan because it's being managed with our OnePlan scheduler. So we're able to deliver a full waterfall approach to project management, including Kanban boards and other ways of viewing that same data, all within OnePlan. And if you decide subsequent to starting a plan with OnePlan that you want to perhaps branch out and use another tool, this is all about being adaptive. So you have access to a variety of different project and portfolio management tools, such as Project for the Web, Microsoft's latest version of the project family. You have Office Planner capabilities. And of course, we showed you earlier how we integrate fully with Project Professional. So not only are you perhaps adaptive, but so is this solution. You can be adaptive in terms of the method through which you deliver your work, be it waterfall, or if I was to switch this view for this particular plan to a backlog view, here we have flexibility to manage this with either Jira or Azure DevOps. So on the fly, you can make decisions and remain truly agile, truly adaptive within this solution for a variety of different fashions of delivering on work within your organization. Now, finally, many of you are becoming accustomed to working within teams. And so I'll wrap by just introducing the fact, as Jim mentioned earlier, that we do integrate fully within a Teams environment should you wish to use that solution for a fully integrated and adaptive Teams-based approach for project and portfolio management within your organization. So here we've created a team called EPMO, your Enterprise Project Management Office. And you'll see that we're focusing on the portfolio within that. And right here, you're seeing, once again, our OnePlan portfolio planner. So that same view that we delivered earlier in this demo and illustrated how you could do that with a Power Platform delivery mechanism, we're showing how OnePlan right now can be integrated directly into a Teams platform so that you can use that approach for managing this portfolio, for doing prioritization, or for changing these views around to look at board views of information. And of course, build that out and extend your Teams interface to include things such as an Agile PMO or a specific Teams focus around a specific initiative such as this software development project. So once again, I've walked you through an end-to-end solution for project and portfolio management in both a waterfall or a fully agile or an adaptive type of approach. And this solution can be delivered across a variety of different platforms using OnePlan tools, using the Microsoft Power Platform, or fully integrated with Teams. And so with that, I'd ask Jim to take over and wrap up the webinar for us. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you, Doug. Let me take back the screen. And we'll do a quick summary and wrap up of the things that we've done there. Nice job on the demonstration, Doug. So, let's talk about the wrapping up on summarizing the value of Adaptive PPM. One, it keeps users working in their preferred tools and solutions. It provides users with tools that are appropriate for their role, maturity, and even the type of work that they're doing. It supports a variety of execution methodologies and tools, as Doug had showed you. It also improves user adoption by minimizing duplication of effort and unnecessary complexity. So overall, a better user experience that's more applicable to the work that they're doing drives better participation and compliance overall. And it integrates all the work and all the resources into a common or single view. Teams can continue to be agile, but leadership will get the visibility and the metrics they require as a natural roll-up of information or aggregation of that information as we pull it together in OnePlan. And overall, if we do these things, we get better collaboration across all areas of the business, as we talked about the cross-functional need these days. So the solution you saw today provides you with a more modern user experience that's expected today by today's workforces. Power Apps was introduced, and it's Microsoft's platform for business solutions and low-code, no-code applications that's going to become more and more prevalent. And behind it is a common data service, which is a robust repository that provides a common repository for all projects and other work and all related aspects of that work. And then OnePlan itself within the context of that, provides a pre-configured adaptive PPM solution for the Power Platform. The things that Doug showed you today actually get delivered pre-configured. Now you can tailor it and tweak it to meet the needs of the things that are truly unique to your nomenclature and your terminology and process, but you could actually start working with this thing almost day one. And it incorporates tools appropriate for the user role, maturity, and type of work like we talked about, supports the variety of execution methodologies we talked about as far as adaptive, and it streamlines access and navigation and provides all the benefits that we talked about of adaptive PPM. It's all embodied within the OnePlan solution in conjunction with Power Apps and/or Teams. So if those of you not familiar with Wickersoft, we are a global company that was founded as a joint venture with Microsoft back in 2002. Not only are we a multi-gold certified technology partner, we're a business partner. And they actually named us their PPM Partner of the Year worldwide at their last conference. And we're proud to say that we've gotten that designation. And we've been at this for quite some time with a focus area in project and portfolio management. We're here to help you to whatever degree you'd like to be supported. We can definitely help you with the implementation of solutions like these. We can also provide you with any education or training around that, as well as any ongoing support that you might feel that you want or need, as well as even helping people by doing some of these things as a managed service for people. We also have consulting and advisory services that help people as they try to evolve their disciplines, whether it be standing up a new PMO, doing agile transformations, the management of change and those types of things around that. We provide all kinds of advisory consulting service to help you succeed with these types of products. And then people are using this stuff today, even though the technologies are somewhat new. Companies like Kiewit Construction are using the adaptive PPM approach with Power Apps and OnePlan, and they're using them in production in a good way. Now, I'm not going to go through this with you given the time that we have, but you're going to get this in the slides and you can read about it as far as the things that were achieved and their comments on that. As a special offer for being here or registering today, we're offering the ability to offer you a free PPM strategy workshop. And the idea here would be to be able to, in a fashion that would be absolutely remotely done, especially these days, to review your current use of Project Online, Microsoft Project, or other PM tools. What are you doing today, and assess your current requirements and whatever desired future state that you have in mind. And then we can determine how best to implement or migrate into the new adaptive PPM solution and approach that we discussed today. And then even provide you with a good implementation roadmap idea for the best adoption success, because these things are usually done incrementally. And then we can actually give you an idea what that total cost of ownership of that transition might take. We also have free trials available up on AppSource from Microsoft at appsource.com. And you can go and look at the OnePlan for adaptive project portfolio management that's up there. You can download this and actually work with OnePlan in a standalone fashion and look at and work with hands-on the things that Doug showed you today. So from a next steps perspective, the roadmap workshop, the trial with Wickersoft chaperone support, if you like, and if the generalized demo that Doug showed you, and as I said, he didn't go deep dive on you today, if you want a more personalized or deeper one-on-one demo for your organization, we're happy to provide that for you as well. And if to reach out, Doug had mentioned our webinars. You can go to oneplan.ai/webinars or contact us at contact@oneplan.ai for more information, or if you'd like to take some next steps with us. I think that we have some questions online. I think what we'll do is respond to you guys via email and give you the answers that you're looking for. So what I'll do is sign off and just thank you all for spending your time and giving us some of your valuable day. I hope you found some value out of the content today and the solutions. We look forward to engaging with you. Don't be bashful, reach out.